Hello everyone. Good morning. Good morning. It's morning where I am. Very early. And I'm smiling so wide cuz this is like really fresh. I went on Twitter and I just saw the second trailer for the second half of the docuseries, the next 3 hours, the last 3 episodes. So it's Monday, happy Monday, and it made me so happy. It made me so happy. It's like, oh my gosh, Harry's gonna just say it. He's gonna just say what we've all seen, what we've all suspected, what we all know to be true, even the hateful. Well, a lot of the hateful, not all of them, but I mean, I don't know like how detailed he's gonna get, but just the bit he admitted in the trailer, he mentioned, oh my gosh. He said, my brother, they were willing to lie for my brother, but weren't willing to tell the truth for me. And that is like the story of Harry's life. That is what Harry has been like. There are so many clips from old royal experts talking about this family, because they've been talking about this family for ever, decades. I mean, now they like try to flip the script and say, no, we don't know anything about palace leaks, and no, we don't know anything about the contract, the invisible contract between Baldy and Mumbles, between Kate and William and the press, and the lack of contract between Harry and Meghan and the press. Even though we've seen it, we've seen the coverage. It's so disproportionate. There's like almost no critical or negative coverage within like the last 3 or 4 years now since Meghan joined the family of Kate and William, whereas there used to be before she joined that family. That's not a coincidence, people. Hello. And Harry addressed that. There's so many sweet parts. Oh my gosh. There's the picture of I think I'm going to use this as the picture for this video. The picture of the family, and it like he said things that I had been suspecting. The like, this is closure in a sense. Like, we need to finish this, because people kept, in the comments, nasty people, people with their biases who like don't want to acknowledge, well, that rich people can suffer, unless it's like Anthony Bourdain, unless it's a cool bro, then they'll acknowledge it for a minute, or if it's Dave Chappelle, then they'll acknowledge it for a minute. If it's a right-leaning guy, kind of sexist, misogynistic, racist, they'll acknowledge their pain. But if it's like a Harry, left-leaning guy, it's like, oh, shut up, you prince. Yeah, okay. Like, people were somehow able to empathize with Kevin Hart not being allowed to host the Emmys, but like not even that. Like, he stepped down. He was asked to apologize a second time for his like newer fan base, because he had sort of gotten this new level of fame at that point, and he refused to, because he had already apologized, he said, and so he didn't want to do it again, because he I don't know, he had a pride about it, for his gay jokes, his homophobic jokes. And then he stepped down. That's not even first world problems. That's champagne problems. That's an insane problem. But Dave Chappelle somehow managed to make the audience feel like that was a big, sad problem. We should all feel so sad for poor, rich Kevin Hart, who had to suffer the indignity of not getting to host a privileged people's award show, which apparently was a lifelong dream of his. And somehow Dave Chappelle managed to reframe this as like this major heartbreak in Kevin Hart's very privileged life. And it's like, all the people, because they're homophobic, that's why. Let's like let's cut straight to the issue here. That's what that was. People who were like, oh, that's so sad, we're homophobes, who were like, no one should have to not be able to say homophobic stuff to do things, even though, again, it was his choice. Okay. Alright, so you can feel empathy for him, for those privileged people with their nonsense problems, their non-problem problems. But this, because Harry's a prince, because Meghan is wealthy and married a prince, then you have no empathy. And is that about, they're too rich to feel empathy for it? No, that's about you don't like lefties, you don't like women of color, you feel like she shouldn't even be in that position, you're a misogynist who labels any woman, especially lefty women, who marry wealthy men, gold diggers, even though you just were championing, I don't know, maybe one of the most famous and like kind of owning it gold diggers there's ever been in Melania Trump, who, like, I remember before, obviously this was before Trump was a political anything, she said, like, on, it was Access or Extra, where they like, so Trump was marrying her, and like they're like, oh, and then like sort of interview, for pre-wedding interviews, she was like, you know, they ask me if I'm marrying him for his money, but you know, no one asked me would he be marrying me if I wasn't as beautiful. She said that, and I remember thinking, I like her cheek. I like the cut of her jib. But yeah, that's like brushed over, that's fine. Again, and then this is the side, it's right-wingers overwhelmingly, so this will be the side who's like, women should, you know, be traditional and, you know, get a traditional man who's a provider and don't work and all that bullshit. But then, like, when a woman does, they call it gold digging. Even though Meghan had her own wealth. Okay, I see you. You're a liar. But yeah, so this trailer dropped. I just, like, logged in, and Omid Scobie's tweet was the top tweet. And it was like a retweeting of the Netflix trailer, the newest Netflix trailer. And it's like, there's so many moments. I watched it. I didn't even do this with the first one. I watched this like 15 times just now. That music, by the way, it almost is tear-inducing. It's so hopeful and sweet. And I just wish nothing but the best for this little family. I hope they're so protected, like locked, sealed, and they are living such a like sweet life. I hope they're just always simpatical, always communicating. Work on that relationship. Marriages are hard, even when they're lovely. I just hope that they have that forever. I mean, the future is unknowable, but yeah, I hope that they are happy and protected forever, and I hope Lily and Archie are protected and Doria's protected and all that. I just want the best for them. And in an ideal world, because my utopia is still one where Kate just has a moment of like, oh my gosh, I was so awful. If she was awful, I don't know. Maybe she wasn't. Maybe I misinterpreted that. But if she was awful, she has an, oh my gosh, I was awful. Meghan, Harry, sorry, let's be friends. And she means it. And same with William. Oh my gosh, I was such a dick. I was selfish. I love you, brother. You're the only brother I have. In my utopia, I still, like, most ideally, I would still want a peaceful resolution and these two couples being friends and the cousins knowing each other, and, you know, they, like, conquer the world in this, like, new, progressive, beautiful way. We're the English in England couple. We're the American English royalty couple. It's this new thing. And they're like, okay, we're going to DC on the 15th. Okay, we're going to, that's like William and Kate. And then Harry and Meghan are like, oh, we're going to Surrey for whatever reason. They're opening a hospital that we donated to. And then William's like, oh, you donated. Don't go showing me up, little brother. I don't know. Because, you know, the royals don't donate. But yeah, I would love that. Of course, I would love that. You see, that's the difference, because the other side, the Derangers utopia, is one where Meghan is like boiling in a hot pot of oil and they get to watch. There's no redemption arc. Like, she didn't even do anything that would need redeeming, but she's like this, it's that same bloodlust. I said this before, it's the same bloodlust, that compelled all of those evil, racist people of yesteryear to do things like knock over a bus full of school children and set it on fire like those many, many women did. I just saw Toni Morrison talk about that in a tweet that went kind of viral, to like scream death threats at little Ruby Bridges trying to go to school. That bloodlust. To smile. There's hung bodies behind you, lynched bodies of black people behind you, and smiling. Like even if, like, I think of someone I hate so much, Jordan Peterson I hate, Trump I hate. If their bodies were hung, that would be horrifying. That would be, I would cry just as a like involuntary reaction. That's horrifying. And these people have something wrong with them. Something's in their brains that makes them just, since forever, since the beginning of time, they're able to pull Hitler-esque shit, Leopold of Belgium-esque shit, just the most depraved shit you've ever heard of. And they practiced on their own broad-speaking race, you know. They tortured each other before they tortured non-whites. But that's what unifies the whites, is like when they encounter non-whites. So they'll like put their swords down for a minute to say, let's conquer these other beings, and they could be cruel to them for a while and get that sadism fix from torturing especially black people, it seems, and Southern Asian people, though. Okay, so a lot of white people are racist, is what I'm saying there. And, you know, a lot of white people are not racist. A lot of white people are anti-racist. A lot of white people are trying and learning and trying to learn to be better. And yeah, that's what I was saying is like, so, you know, a reasonable person sees Harry growing, learning, and it's like, yes, this is good. This is progress. This is good. But the racists see just a traitor. They say the hashtag they keep pushing, you know, every like week or so is Harry is a traitor. What they want to say is Prince Harry is a race traitor. That's what the issue is. That's what it is. And it's like, of course, they're just not going to say that because it sounds too bad. You're the bad guy if you say that. And nobody wants to be the bad guy. But they are. They're the evil, monstrous guy. And that's why their utopia does not involve Meghan being any better. They're not like, oh, I want her to learn the error of her ways, because there are no errors there. It's just a made-up personality, and everything she could possibly do would be interpreted as, as a sin, basically. She's like wrong genetically, is what I'm kind of trying to say, because it's not about her brain. It's about her pigment. It's about her ethnic lineage. And that's why it's like their ideal scenario is one where, you know, where Meghan is harmed, where those kids are excised out of the line of succession, where Harry comes back groveling, as they talked about constantly. And Harry this felt like such a shots fired moment. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I don't want to get like too like, because, you know, who knows what is going to actually be said, but I just know that I smiled so hard, and I am rooting so hard for like that. When they said that at the Kennedy Awards, we're like excited about the next step or something like that. Something that basically means that we're just getting started, something like that. And I'm like, that's when it clicked for a minute. This is like closing a chapter, as Harry said. This is like, we need to say our story. This is when I started theorizing all that about, like, you know, well, not started, but like this is when it really fully formed the like theory of like, you know, originally Meghan just wanted this first Netflix project to be a love story, and maybe Harry did too. Then they saw the response to the Oprah interview, and it was like, it was still so harsh. The family was still like participating in shenanigans. So maybe Harry and Meghan had to be told, and I can't help but thinking it's mostly Meghan who had to be like, because she's the one who said again in the Variety interview how, this was not originally what she planned for their, like she said something like that, like it's not exactly how she would have told it, because I think maybe she wanted a pure love story, just that was gonna be the first project. But then Liz, you know, I think I started talking about this in the other video and got way sidetracked, but okay, but then Liz, you know, or someone, people said, we need to tell this story fully, even the ugly parts, even the parts that royals are not supposed to address. You know, we need to. It's necessary. And we got to tell the bigger story. And, you know, I can just imagine Harry going, she's right. And Meghan going, but I don't want to make waves. And Harry's like, okay, I don't need to go over this fantasy dialogue. Who knows what was actually said, but agreements were made that this is the best way to tell their story. And I so appreciate that, and I can see that, like, it makes sense. They have to, like, it is hard to, like, just go on, just keep doing without, like, saying, because, like, people keep pushing the misinformation. I've heard the same lies that even I know are lies without them needing to confirm it, because it's just made up. There's no source for it. It's, again, it's as random as a random person, unknown person, going on Quora.com with an anonymous account saying, I saw Meghan in a store and she kicked a dog in the throat, and then they start spreading that like that happened, and you think that's so absurd. That's too absurd. But that's literally like the source of a story about Meghan throwing tea in someone's face in Australia. Does that sound believable? Like, what the? It's so, like, they'll just say anything. They're just so vile, so evil. All the things they accuse her of being, that's how they know to accuse them. And there's something so, like, powerful, I think, in, like, accusing people of the thing you are first. Which, by the way, leads me to my other theory. Man, I don't want to make this video about that, but I'll just say it here and expound in a separate video. I think, I have a theory that, because, like, there's a pattern of the stuff that, speaking to what I was just talking about, this theme of, like, projection or accusing you of what I'm guilty of before you get a chance to expose what I am. That's been the pattern with, like, Kate's people, is, like, accusing Meghan of making her cry, being a yacht girl, being the social climber, all the things Kate got called. They spun it and threw it on Meghan, and it occurred to me, what if, knowing, because, like, I remember reading this before, this was one of those little tidbits I learned about before Meghan was in the family, how Carol Middleton was a bit of a watch your weighty kind of mom to Kate. And I just wonder if that story about, Meghan bullying Charlotte about her weight, which is so absurd, I wonder if that's pulled from what they know Kate did. What if Kate is the one who was afraid she was going to have a chubby daughter because she's that shallow? She was raised that way. It's a cycle. She had a mom like that, and she's, like, passing that down. You see how like, stringently, how seriously she takes staying in shape. You can see, like, she's not just, like, thin. She's, like, toned and even, like, taut. So, but that's a theory for another video. This video is just me gushing over this, and, like, there's one moment that is just so, oh my gosh, it's Harry saying the freedom flight. Oh my gosh. And I don't know, it's like, because you just never know how they're feeling, what they really felt. I don't know how many tears were shed, and, like, I couldn't help but imagine many tears were shed when they left, Canada, when they were leaving the whole thing, when it was just all hitting them at once, because it was, like, so unplanned, as they explained in the Oprah interview. So I couldn't help but imagine it was just so sad and shocking, and maybe it still was, but I appreciate and I love to see and know that at least in that time frame, there were moments of Harry and presumably Meghan being able to smile and say, we're getting the F out of here, and they're happy about it. And it's like, because there's so much, like, that's another thing, that's one of the rumors where it's like, they didn't decide to leave, they were kicked out. That's like this weird way the royalists, losers, the royalist racists, like, try to save face. They're like 1 minute they're saying he abandoned his duty, but then the next minute they're saying, oh, actually Meghan wanted too much and she was an opportunist and trying to get deals and use the brand to do this and that and the other, and the queen said, no, get out of here. And that's like their fantasy, just like their fantasy is always like breaking dishes in Montecito. Like, Meghan really wanted to be around a bunch of stuffy dignitaries. Like, if she wanted that, she would have done it. She doesn't need to meet these dignitaries and whatever, if she actually even cares to meet them, in these stuffy settings. She gets to meet, you know, the First Lady of Canada at her home, hanging with the kids, just in their house. That's Meghan's style, is casual, free, you know, private, doing it in her own way. That's, of course, you know, they just won't cut her a break. They won't let her be human. They have to make her this two-dimensional, cackling in the corner, you know, what do you call this? Is there a name for when you like strum your fingers together in that Mr. Burns kind of way? Maybe that's what you call it, the Mr. Burns, and like just doing that gesture and like making an evil witch lady face like out of a cartoon. That's Meghan to them, a caricature. She's not a full human who's flawed and, you know, has good qualities. She's just evil because they are just evil. They are evil. They are racist. Racists are evil. Racists are evil. It's an evil disposition to have. It's an evil way to be. They're mean. They're body shaming. They're cruel. They're nasty. Like, they're all the negative things, and then they take their negative qualities and call Meghan them. They're even narcissistic more often. Not all of them, but a lot of them are narcissistic, and then they project their narcissism. And I don't even know what to call it projecting. It's more like they just knowingly accuse Meghan of their narcissistic tendencies. And then they're just dishonest too. They just will call her any bad thing as long as it's bad. As long as it's bad, we'll repeat it. Any random negative chorus story, I will repeat it. Any story leaked from Kensington Palace or wherever, we will repeat it. It's like, this is not real. This is not a real assessment. This is not honest. Padina is not honest. She's not honestly trying to get to the truth. She's just a bitter, mixed race black woman who worships whiteness, I guess. That's her deal. And, you know, murky Karen, she's not trying to get to any truth. She's just a racist. She's just a racist, and this is her cope. You know, body language guy, same deal. Same deal. It's a bunch of losers. And, I mean, there's money in it, too. But, like, you can't pay someone to be bad. They're doing the thing they want to do when they decide to be bad. When they decide to be cruel, and they decide to dogpile. Okay, but anyway, I love this trailer. I'm so excited about Thursday. And there was actually there was a teaser. There was a teaser that came out on Friday or Saturday of like, and this song has been stuck in my head. It was like Land of a Thousand Songs, I think. It was their wedding song, their first song. And it's like, seeing that over and over, that got stuck in my head too. And then like the Daily Mail tried to like, it's like they're so transparent. They wrote an article about how that artist, you know, did drugs. It was the singer of that song. It's like, if you're saying you don't see anything, you don't see a pattern, you don't see a smear campaign, you don't see bias reporting, reporting with an agenda, you're being dishonest or you're stupid, because clearly, like, what kind of reaction is that? You like hear like Emma Watson or Adele or Beyonce or anyone just share like, oh, this was our wedding song, and they're like, and then a bunch of papers are like writing negative stuff about the artist who sang your wedding song. Like, what? Okay, alright. So it was really good, and it was like hopeful, and again they said the thing about we need to close this chapter, and I like felt that immediately. I get that fully. Yes, just tell it all, as much as, again, not, you don't have to say literally everything. I would be okay with it, but tell it all while balancing what you're comfortable with. And then, yeah, this is how you close that chapter. You say it, then you move on. The Oprah interview, it like, you could even interpret it as like a warning or even a plea to just, can you please just be civil now? We said our piece. We were very discreet. We did not name names. Please just call off your attack dogs. And they didn't. They didn't settle. They didn't become civil. They didn't become kinder. The ones that maybe the palace could control didn't become kinder. The ones that they can't control just unleashed even more of their bile and racism, like the hateful accounts on various social media sites. Right-wingers are their own kind of inherently contaminated group. So yeah, they just got even more vile, more dishonest, made up more random lies, accused more things to make them even try to make Harry and Meghan even more discredited, more that was the tactic. You have to make their, assassinate their character. And so when they finally, if they finally ever do share everything you did to them, you can just fall back on that thing you've been saying for a year, 2 years, 3 years. They're liars, guys. Remember how we've been brainwashing you to think they're liars? Don't believe them. That was the whole point. They're liars. No. I think reasonable people will believe them. And it's like, I'm seeing more defense of them. I'm feeling less alone in comment sections. There's more people pushing back at the crazy conspiracy theories and lies about them, especially Meghan. And it's been so nice. And so I can't help but be a little hopeful, even though hope is a little bit naive sometimes. I know that's like super pessimistic to say that, but it's just been a certain way for so long, and I just hope, I am so there for them. I want to just, there will always be haters in their comments. There were haters in the comments, hateful people. That's like what led to this. In the comments before Meghan and Harry even left, they were like in England doing the job, and there were people being hateful when E! News or People or whoever would post about them. So like pretending, oh, only because the Oprah interview lies. They're liars. They're, racist. They need cover in modern times, and like made up stories, bullshit, excuses is the cover, because they can't, in modern times, they can't just own that they have this hostility because of her racial makeup. They've been othering her and resenting her from day one. They were not part of the welcome wagon of people who embraced her. They keep calling on the countrymen and the people in the world who were excited about her and still are. They, like, those people existed and they exist, but that's not you. There was also a hate faction. That's you. And you were waiting, biding your time for excuses to, like, attack her, because you had nothing in the beginning, and then finally, very quickly actually, the palace started giving you bullshit to cling to use, to batter her with, and that was their strategy, I think. And of course, they know the racists, because a lot of them live in the palace. A lot of them have that racial bias. They know their people. They know how racists think. They know modern racists need cover. They need something to hide behind so they can, vomit their bile, but say it's not because of race, it's because of this nonsense reason that is still very unreasonable to be attacking a woman for, especially at this rate, especially with all the things that other people, especially men, do, these like actual heinous crimes that don't get even half the criticism. you know, we see you. Like the sane, the honest, they see you. So I like that Harry's gonna really be honest. Meghan too, seemingly. Even if they have to do it still with a somewhat vague way. I saw Tyler Perry and what's his face, Christopher Boozy are in this. They were in the trailer. We knew Christopher Boozy was gonna be in it. But yeah, Tyler Perry, and then they were like, they just throw anything at the wall. They were just posting an article like just yesterday, I think, that Tyler Perry and their other A-list friends are trying to keep their distance. Like, they just make up anything. They literally pull it out their butts to like stir up anti-Meghan and anti-Harry sentiment with the masses. I think that's their tactic. But people have this, and I love that. And I know Diana would love this. Like, their official words, their statements, no more guessing. Like, this is what happened in our own words. That's how it should be. Like, this royal thing of just using reporters to say how we feel. Like, how are we learning stuff like William and Kate and Harry and Meghan plan to exchange gifts for the kids but not each other? Like, who could have told whoever reported that that's a leak? That's an inside leak. And if it's even true, it's either they're straight up lying or they're being briefed by people in the palace, by the actual royals. Like, so anyway, good trailer, good last two trailers, and I'm excited for Thursday. And yeah, let me know what you think. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Thank you for watching, and can't wait till Thursday. Yay. Alright, bye.